much for joining this special moment, our 5th rendezvous. Before we begin, I just want to say how happy I am to share this moment with you. It looks like it's going to be a very intimate group today, and I love that. So that makes me even more grateful that you are here. Thank you for tuning in and taking the time to be part of this. So for those who don't know me yet, my name is Valerie Legras. I'm the founder and creative director of SWADOH. And for those who know me, it is a great opportunity to show you how SWADOH continues to evolve and how it can become a meaningful part of your creative journey. By launching this rendezvous, my goal is to host a conversation each month to bring you stories, insight, and inspiration from the world of interior design, art, and exceptional craftsmanship. Think of it as a monthly creative pause, a moment to share, inspire, and connect. All right, I have been asked several times where I find inspiration for this rendezvous. Well, it all goes back to our manifesto. On the website, you will see it clearly. It is not just words. It is everything that truly matters to us, everything we believe in. Each point in that manifesto guides how we create, how we collaborate, and how we see beauty. It is a reminder that design is not just about what we make, it is about why we make it. And when you come back to that why, you realize that what we do is more than interiors, it's more than architecture, more than product design. It is about emotion, connection, and respect for craftsmanship. So in this chapter of our rendezvous series, we are exploring the 5th point, details matter. In our past rendezvous, we talked about our passion for materials and how transformation is at the heart of everything we do. Today, I would like to take that one step further and explore what it truly means to see. Something that completely changed the way I look at material was discovering macro photography. When you zoom in really close, you start to enter a hidden world. Textures, shapes, colors you would never notice otherwise suddenly come alive. It's like stepping into a universe of its own, full of mystery and beauty. And for me, macro photography is a beautiful metaphor for creativity. It reminds us that inspiration often lives in the smallest details. And creative people are often drawn to nature because it really is the purest form of creativity. Nothing in nature ever stands still. It is always changing, evolving, growing. And when you look closely, you notice colors, texture, and shapes that feels effortless, yet perfectly balanced. There is an harmony in everything. And this is what makes nature so inspiring. It reminds us to stay curious, to look close. On the left, it's a photo I simply took on my phone one day here in New Orleans. Just a small flower that stopped me in my tracks. And on the right, you can see a beautiful piece by Lucy Touré. It perfectly captures that same spirit, the harmony, the quiet beauty of nature, translated through craft. And as designer, we try to capture the beauty gifted to us by Mother Nature. We do not try to copy it, but to honor it. And Lucy's work is a perfect example of that philosophy. So Lucy Touré is a multidisciplinary artist and designer who explores the delicate intersection between craftsmanship, technology, and nature. And her work reflects a real sensitivity to material, to the way they move, respond to light, and transform into something beautiful and unexpected. Her signature style often features flowers, patterns that echoes nature's rhythm. And through techniques like paper sculpting and textile work, she brings these forms to life. So for Lucy, nature is more than just a source of inspiration. It is a dialogue, a constant exchange between what she observes and what she creates. And that dialogues began during a trip to Japan where she was deeply moved by the delicate beauty of a cherry blossom. That experience opened her eyes to a new way of seeing, finding beauty in fragility and strength in softness. Let's take a moment to reflect on the cherry blossom that deeply inspires Lucy. In Japan, the cherry blossom is a symbol of beauty and impermanence, a reminder that the most precious moments in life are often the most fleeting. And every spring, for just a few days, the trees burst into the delicate pink cloud, and then, just as quickly, the petals fall. In her own way, Lucy collects this moment, transforming them into something eternal. As designer, we often think about durability, about legacy, about making things that will last. But sometimes, what stays with people is not the object or the space itself. It is the emotion it creates. Just like a cherry blossom, it blooms, it disappears, but it leaves an impression that lingers. And I think of that every time we create something at SWADOH. Because whether it's a piece of lighting, a surface, an architectural element, or an installation, what we're really designing is an experience. So when I look at Lucy's work, or at the work of so many artisans and artists we collaborate with, I see the same philosophy, that quiet acceptance of time, imperfection, and change. And to me, this is what makes craftsmanship so human. It celebrates the fleeting and transforms it into something that we can hold, touch, and keep. So now I would like to take you further into the world of Lucy Touré. Her work lives between tradition and innovation, fragility and strength, nature and craftsmanship. Here you see her hand where the magic begins, and every gesture is intentional. She works with paper, silk, metal, cork, glass, even acrylic, materials we think we know. Yet she transforms them into something completely new. So Lucy's process is a perfect example of how details create meaning. Each petal, each shimmer of light, each thread is deliberate, part of a quiet harmony that speaks of patience and precision. Her pieces do not imitate nature, they interpret it. That's where the soul of design lives. And you can see a beautiful example with these three mirrors. From nature's perfection to the artist's hand. Truly, looking at these two images, you can instantly feel the connection between the nature world and the hand that shapes it. On one side, there is the intricate beauty of nature, the perfect geometry of a flower, its balance, its rhythm, its quiet confidence. It holds everything, proportion, texture, harmony, light. Actually, the very thing we as designers spend our life trying to master, right? So on the other side, that inspiration comes alive again through the human hand. Here, Lucy collaborated with Lison de Caunes, a master of straw marqueterie. Together, they transformed straw, yes, natural straw, into something luminous and delicate. Each petal, cut, shaped, and embroidered with care. It's a mirror, but also a meditation on patience, repetition, and precision. And Lucy studied the flower, its form, rhythm, and light, and interprets it through her craft. It's a dialogue. Nature speaks through form and color, and the artisan responds through material and techniques. And here we can see that dialogue continuing, the conversation between nature and craftsmanship. And on the right, the hydrangea, fragile, layered, perfectly imperfect. And on the left, Lucy and Lison's creation, the same rhythm and harmony, reimagined through straw marqueterie, glass bead, and intricate embroidery work. You can sense the patience, the precision, the quiet repetition of the hand, and it's a beautiful reminder that when nature inspires the process, craftsmanship becomes an act of reverence. This is where poetry begins, in transforming observation into emotion. Let's take a closer look here. It's incredible, isn't it, how the smallest details can hold so much life. On the right, you have a delicate center of a flower, each pistil, each filament perfectly placed by nature. There is something so humbling about how precise nature is. And on the left, you see how this natural perfection inspires the artisan hand. Each tiny glass bead has been placed one by one, patiently, intentionally, to capture that same vibrancy. It's almost like freezing a moment of bloom in time. You can feel the rhythm, the heartbeat, the craftsmanship in every little spark. And that is what I mean when I say details matter. Because when you start paying attention to detail, you start to see differently. You slow down and it feels good. Because really, in a world that moves so fast, this small gesture reminds us that beauty is not loud, it's quiet. It's found in the soft shimmer of a bead, the gentle curve of a petal, the patience of a hand, and once again, that is where design becomes emotion. Here you can really see how inspirations travel, how it moves from the natural world into creation. At the center are examples of embroidery on solid surfaces, each one assembled with patience and care. And they were presented here as decorative panel, but they could just as easily become wall art, cabinet doors, or lighting accent. Each stitch, each shimmer of light adds depth, texture, and soul to the surface. It proves that even the smallest detail can completely transform how we experience a space or an object. In some of the next few slides, we're going to explore how embroidery and craftsmanship are ways of preserving wonders, capturing fleeting beauty, and turn it into something we can live in every day. Here you can see how Lucy's creation comes alive. Once placed in an interior, this mirrors shows how craftsmanship and design meet seamlessly. The result is subtle and refined, a surface that changes with the light, that glows rather than shines. And this is where art and design come together. When a detail becomes part of the space itself, shaping how we see it, how we feel in it. As we move forward, I want to stay focused with the same idea, how the smallest details in nature can inspire the entire world of creation. If you look at these images, you can feel that same rhythm, the play of repetition, light, and balance. There is something so calming about these tones, soft greens, gentle whites. They remind us that nature never forces contrast. It takes harmony naturally through texture, transparency, and rhythm. And every petal, every vein, every shadow plays a role. Nothing is superfluous. And then, when we translate that into design, through embroidery or any form of craft, what we are really doing is capturing the sensation of nature, not just its image. We are trying to evoke that same feeling of calm when you walk through a garden. For me, that is what craftsmanship is about. It is the ability to observe, to translate, to respect the spirit of the material. And when an artisan places a single bead or carve a fine line, it's not decoration, it is intention. It is their way of saying, I see beauty in that moment, and I want it to last. And that's why at SWADOH, it is a conversation, a continuation. The material speaks and we listen. The world around us gives inspiration and we give it form. Here, we can start to imagine how this delicate element evolved into something architectural. That inspiration takes shape through craft, turned into structure, rhythm, and design. And this specific piece is more than just an ornament. It is actually a prototype for a partition wall that filters light, like petals filtering the sun. And that is what fascinates me about Lucy's work. It bridges the poetic and the functional. It shows us that craftsmanship can shape architecture and interior design. But a detail can become the very essence of a space. What you see here are hundreds of small hand-embroidered flowers, each one made from aluminum and glass, with tiny beads, stitches in place. And together they form something much larger, a partition walls that plays with light, transparency, and reflection. As interior designer, you know how powerful these elements can be. So for me, the future of design is about bringing craftsmanship and architecture and interior design together. It's about finding balance between technical precision and the human touch. This project is still unfortunately confidential, so we don't have final image to share. But here you can imagine how these panels would live in a spa environment. Soft light filtering through the petals, creating a calm and luminous atmosphere. And on the right, you can see some of the pattern studies and mock-ups. The combination of wood, aluminum, and glass beads create both luminosity and warmth. Even without a real project images, I hope you can see the picture. So from architectural element to lighting, the same inspiration continues to bloom. This is a preview of our new light collection that we will unveil at BDNY in New York in just a few days. So this piece is actually called Amour. You know, amour is love for French. So for me, amour is a tribute to craftsmanship and emotion, to the idea that beauty is built through care, gesture, and intention. The design is inspired by the gentle rhythm of falling blossom, petals floating in light, and each translucent flower is handcrafted, assembled one by one to create this soft diffusion. It's a celebration of movement, delicacy, and joy. Amour also pays homage to Christian Dior's very first collection in 1947, the moment he unveiled his Amour Amour collection and changed fashion forever with a new look. Since that moment, flower has been at the heart of Dior's universe, and Christian Dior was in love with them from a very early age, their structure, their delicacy, their symbolism, and he once said that after woman, flowers were the most divine creation. So throughout his life, flowers remain his passion, and that love still blooms today in every Dior collection. So for Christian Dior's flowers were more than inspiration. It was really part of his life. He grew up surrounded by gardens, and that love became the soul of his creation. So to bring his vision to life, Christian Dior relied on master artisans, people with the skills and sensibility to translate his idea into reality. And that dialogue continues today for artists like Lucy Toury, who carry that same spirit of collaboration and craftsmanship. And that could be you, because Christian Dior looked for someone that was able to convey his vision to life, and you designer can also access incredibly talented artists and artisans to bring your vision to life. Here again, you can see how everything begins with observation, with a moment of attention. Mother Nature gives us a masterclass in structure and detail. The heart of a dandelion, so precise, so fragile, and yet so perfectly engineered. Every seed, every filament knows its place and purpose. That same sense of precision and poetry comes through the hands of the artisan. Each petal, each layer, placed one by one. It's not just about creating beauty, it is about learning from what already exists. Because Mother Nature, after all, is the greatest designer. And the details are her language. Details are sometimes just a small gesture that changes everything. Like here, a hand-painted wallpaper, softly embroidered with golden beads, and a textile delicately embellished with a fine beadwork. Two examples where the detail is not loud but deeply intentional, and each stitch adds texture, light, and emotion, turning a surface into a story. It is the quiet details, the ones you might almost overlook, that bring soul to design. They transform something simply beautiful into something unforgettable. Here, this hardware becomes more than function. It's an accent, a small piece of jewelry for the space, just as a jewel completes a gown. These details complete the design element around it. It catches the light, draws the eyes, and invites touch, not to dominate, but to truly elevate the space. So this piece was actually born from a client's request. She wanted to bring a high level of craftsmanship into a very specific room in her project. Through small, thoughtful touches, this is how we can craft a moment of awe. And that's exactly what this handle does. It turns something functional into something emotional. A quiet detail that invites curiosity, that makes you pause for just a second and feel something. When you think about it, refinement often lives in the smallest gestures, those that reveal themselves only when you take the time to look closer. Because in the end, even the smallest details, when made with care, can transform the entire experience of a space. Flowers, flowers, I can never get enough of them. Here on these hand-painted panels, it feels as if the wind has just scattered a few petals across the surface. And then, with the addition of these delicate layers, everything changes. What was once beautiful suddenly becomes extraordinary and alive. If you are looking for a way to add something personal and truly custom to a space, here is a great and simple example. This is a project by Learned Design. We took a detail from a vintage Cartier scarf and used it to simply inspire a special moment. For a wall that felt like it needed a little extra, a touch of magic, a moment of awe. So we created hand gilded and embroidered flowers. The flower is simply applied like ornaments, adding depth, meaning, and a beautiful surprise to a space. The work of Lucy has been recognized by several luxury brands, including Louis Vuitton, who collaborated with her on a limited collection. It was for Mother's Day 2024. Acrylic petals and glad beads were embroidered directly on leather, creating a few exquisite pieces that truly celebrate craftsmanship. So the lucky person who receives these beautiful purses will hold something rare, a small treasury shaped by patience and artistry and care. Lucy has also collaborated several times with Guerlain on limited edition of the iconic fragrance. Each time, she brings incredible poetry and delicacy to the bottle, turning an existing fragrance into something even more precious. Through her touch, glass, metal, and beads, everything comes together like petals, adding a sense of movement, light, and emotion to each piece. And I'm going to share a short video of a story behind this collaboration. We're going to see Lucy in her atelier. It's in French, but with English subtitle. I think you will enjoy seeing the story behind this high-level craftsmanship and this astonishing collaboration.
Je suis Lucie Touré, je suis designer textile et papier. J'ai monté mon atelier en 2018 pour sublimer le papier et associer des savoir-faire textiles, de la broderie, du tissage, des techniques de dorure, des techniques empruntées à la bijouterie. J'ai commencé à travailler le papier à travers la découverte de l'origami et de toutes ces techniques de pliage. Je suis allée plusieurs fois au Japon voir les cerisiers en fleurs et j'ai été très touchée par la façon dont les Japonais célèbrent la nature à travers la tradition du hanami. La maison Guerlain représente pour moi le luxe à la française, l'exigence et le savoir-faire. Je partage avec Guerlain cette passion pour les fleurs et pour la nature. Pour le millésime 2021 de Cherry Blossom, j'ai imaginé une parure qui évoque l'éclosion des fleurs de cerisier. Chaque petite fleur est composée de 3 couches de papier qui sont mises en forme à la main et ensuite assemblées à l'aide d'une petite tige de laiton et d'une perle de verre ou de cristal. Je travaille un papier qui est doré à la feuille de cuivre, des papiers blancs qui sont peints à la main et des touches d'or pour amener de la préciosité. Pour Cherry Blossom, on a façonné et monté à la main plus de 20 000 fleurs. C'est un travail qui demande beaucoup de minutie et de rigueur.
Et voilà, this is the end of our 5th rendezvous. Thank you for taking this journey with me, and I invite you to wander into the magical and powerful world of SWADOH, where details matter, where every gesture, every texture, every shimmer of light tells a story. Come into our garden, a place where craftsmanship blooms and beauty is found in the smallest thing. Merci, à bientôt.